Episode 90. We preview the spring training non-roster invites, the current outfield market, see what's happening around the Central, and break down the Pirates' current shortstop situation. You're listening to the Bucko Banter podcast, brought to you by the Just Baseball Media Network. Cue the music.
Rockin' 101, she compliment my taste. Whiskey in my lemonade, cause I like the way it tastes. Best seats at the Pirates game, they let me run the base. Yeah, my time is like my money, cause I can't afford to waste. Wifey is a lawyer, take my date to my dates. Order steak by the plate, sending case after case. Run my race at my pace, clear the grass of the snake.
Adam, it's crazy to believe we're at episode 90. We're almost at 100 episodes for coming on a year of starting Bucko Banner. So feeling kind of nostalgic there, but it's there's a lot to talk about actually. And
Finally,
and we found ourselves looking for things to talk about over the past couple of weeks. Luckily, we got some interviews. Might have another one coming soon. So let's just jump into it, man.
Randal Grichuk is not going to be a Pittsburgh Pirate.
Yeah, he's not. I was bummed about because of all the outfield guys left in free agency, he was the one that I probably favored, even though I'm not crazy about the remaining market. So it was a bummer because he signed for what, $5 million 1 year?
1 year with a mutual option. He'll be on the books for $2 million in 2025.
Yeah, that's nice.
Arizona had a little bit of a head start, right? He was already there. They're a good team, one of the best offenses in the league. They added to that starting rotation this year. Hopefully they get a healthier, more amped up Jordan Montgomery, but it's an all-around better situation. Rumor has it he also has family out in Arizona, and he wanted to stay there. I don't know how true that is, but it's kind of hard to see a guy like this who really, at the end of the day, he's not a superstar. He's not a game changer, but he would have been a great platoon bat.
Who can put the ball in the seats.
Exactly. It makes you wonder if he really was an option at that point, because if the Pirates could not beat that deal, it just had to be personal, right? You have to think that way or else I'm going to go crazy, because there's no way they couldn't put 1 year, $2 million with a mutual option for $5 million on the table for Randal Grichuk.
Which
sad.
Also, brings up these outfield log jams that are around the league, which there's obvious trade options for the Pirates too. And we've talked about it. Another signing that happened this week was Ramon Laureano. And he's never anyone that was on my radar, but clearly the Orioles aren't ready to play Heston Kjerstad for whatever reason, because his numbers in the big leagues last year were not bad. Okay. Mm-hmm. In his first, how many 112 at bats I think he had. And he is controllable. He's got pedigree. He's a top prospect. It makes a ton of sense. And so does Jake McCarthy for the Diamondbacks. So if we're dealing with
there we go.
I know. I'm telling you, they got Gurriel, Carroll, Randal Grichuk, Alec Thomas. They've got a lot of options in the outfield, and you'd think they'd want to move one of them, whether to get depth in the bullpen or whatever. It just makes too much sense at this point. And if the holdup is the fact that we have two left-handed bats in the lineup already or on this roster in Jackson Winsky and Josh Palacios, I fear we're not thinking outside the box.
They're definitely not thinking outside the box, because those are very good trade opportunities. I'll stick on my Heston Kjerstad bit, because I promised it's going to be the bit for the entire year until he's a Pirate. I have an Orioles fan who lives in my apartment building. We chop it up every single time we see each other. We got dogs, so we sit in the dog park, let the dogs play, talk baseball. Unfortunately, he's an Orioles fan, so he has a lot more to look forward to. And it's kind of me just pushing my woes onto him. Then he's like, I don't know what to tell you.
He's dude, get a therapist. Seriously.
Exactly. I'm like, I have one. It's not enough. But I said, what are you guys doing with Heston Kjerstad? Because you signed Dylan Carlson. As you just mentioned, you signed Ramon Laureano. You got Cedric Mullins. You got Tyler O'Neill. Dylan Carlson, they signed. Daz Cameron.
Carlson, yeah.
Enrique Bradfield Jr. is not far off. He's probably not ready yet, but he's not far off. You're loaded. You need some arms. We have arms. I would do Mitch Keller for Heston Kjerstad straight up at this juncture. I really would. Just because I know it's a lot, but I'm comfortable going into the season with unknowns with a Bubba Chandler, Johan Oviedo, a Thomas Harrington. Not that a Thomas Harrington would start the season. I think there's more realistic that a Bubba Chandler could break out a spring like Jared Jones did, although it's not likely. I'm okay going into the year with those uncertainties compared to the lineup that we have right now.
I think so too. And I think you could have made supplemental moves, right? Like if we didn't move Luis Ortiz, he could have been an option here along with some other, like I would have rather packaged that deal for Kjerstad than Spencer Horwitz. And this is not like Horwitz slander or anything, because I think he's going to be a solid player, but I think there were better ways to go. You could have gone out and signed a Carlos Santana to a 1-year deal, even though he got a $13 million deal, something crazy. Yeah. There were other first basemen you could have signed for less. Okay. You could have signed a Wade Miley to be like a veteran in the back of your rotation. That's another, signing that happened this week
for the Reds.
And if you're looking for a veteran presence, a guy that can eat innings, a guy that can be an opposite-handed arm in the back of that rotation, he's a stopgap for other guys like a Hunter Barco, a Bubba, Thomas Harrington, these young guys that maybe you're worried about being major contributors in their first year. There were other ways to go, and I fear not that it's too late, but I fear that they're absolutely not going to do anything right at this point, because it's clear, like they've had opportunities to make trades. They've had opportunities to sign guys, which brings me into another. Do you want to go for it?
Are you about to talk about Harrison Bader?
Yeah, exactly. He's another option, and he's not a guy I was crazy about.
This is bottom of the list for me.
Bottom of the list. And he plays like, it doesn't really make sense to put him in a corner. Like he'd be an elite corner, but like he's a center fielder. Like that's like his plus tool. And you're trying to put O'Neill there. So he didn't really make sense for us anyway.
Put him in left field at PNC Park. It kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But overall, he's not going to provide anything with the bat. So it's really just defense first, which again, I'm trying to sacrifice a little bit of that for some power, for some slugging. They don't have it, man. And teams like the Reds have loaded up this offseason. I'm not saying they've made any star-studded moves, but they're making moves. Nevertheless, it's the only guy out there is Verdugo. And now the narrative had changed from, I don't want a Verdugo, this is not the situation that the Pirates are going in, to that looks pretty good right now. That looks Scotty. It's not bad. All jokes aside, I mean, it's the only free agent option. If you're not going to sign Verdugo to a 1-year contract, then you have to make a trade. And that is even slim pickings right now.
I mean, there are other bats like an Adam Duvall if you're looking for power, but defense is probably, well, he can play a little bit of center field actually. So probably he might be a good option. He can play all 3 outfield spots. You've got a Tommy Pham. I know he's older, but like, he can contribute. I don't know, man. It is that very slim. And if the argument against like a Kjerstad or a McCarthy is that they're left-handed bats and we already have those, then what's the point in going after Alex Verdugo?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's
it's going to be Connor Joe again. They're going to bring Connor Joe.
Well, no, I mean, essentially you're saying that, we're not going to go trade for a younger bat with pedigree like a Kjerstad or McCarthy, because we already have those guys. But if you go and sign Verdugo, you're saying that one of those guys aren't going to be on your roster, Sawinski or Palacios. So you're saying that Verdugo is an upgrade to them, but technically saying that Kjerstad and McCarthy aren't. Like, do you see the logic here? It's not really lining up.
It also fits their narrative, years of control, young. Why it makes too much sense. They've talked about it at the beginning of the offseason. They kind of did it with Horwitz. Deal from depth. They still have that, and they still have an opportunity to make this roster significantly better. And when I say significantly better, one move can change the narrative here. Yeah. Really, that's all it takes. Because if you look at the lineup, you have Brian Reynolds, you have O'Neill Cruz, you have Oh God, I'm blanking. You have a Spencer
Billy Cook.
Horwitz,
Oh.
Billy, Nick Gonzalez coming off of a good year. Joey Bart hopefully can provide some power in the middle of that order, and then some contact guys in IKF. It's not terrible. It's not ideal. I know we're Pirates fans, so I'm kind of raising it to another level that others might not see it at. But it's all together. It could mesh. You can make it work with one significant bat, just one where you could plug in the lineup where that could be an everyday player. It's going to happen through trade if it does. But I think that's what's even more frustrating, that one guy, just one, could make a difference.
Yeah, it's frustrating, man. It really is. And it's sad that I don't really have hope of a move happening. But hey, I'm going to stay glass half full, if you will. And hopefully, there's something that happens. Maybe they are truly playing this game of chicken and waiting for a team to cave on a trade offer, or for Dugo to sign for pennies on the dollar. But I don't know. Let's move on, dude. This is a very depressing topic. Let's talk about the non-roster guys.
I was going to say, you don't want to hear what I was going to say next, so it's a good transition.
Okay, yeah. I really don't. You can tell me after. But the non-roster invitees were just released this week. All right. We got some significant names, and we already had learned that when we interviewed Connor Griffin that he would get that invite to spring. So we heard that before this list was announced. I'm excited to see him get some, at bats. I'm sure he'll come in the later innings and against some of the minor league guys, but still it'll be a good experience for him. Who are you really excited to watch out of this group? I mean, there are some intriguing prospects here.
Obviously, Termar Johnson, I want to see him take that next step this year. He's been punching up his entire career. He's still so young.
Yeah, he is.
He's Double A, and I think we just look past that every single time of how developed his game is already. I know the numbers don't necessarily match up with the on-field play, but he's still so young, and he's in Double A. There's an opportunity this year to take another step. So he had a good spring last year. Looking for him to have another good spring this year. But outside of a top prospect like Termar Johnson and a Bubba Chandler and a Thomas Harrington, I'd like to see the left-handed arms shine this spring.
Okay.
i.e. Hunter Barco and Anthony Solometo.
Yeah, same.
So Solometo, obviously, bad year last year. All over the place. I think it was more of a mental thing towards the end.
He's still young too, man.
Still so young. Him succeeding only benefits this organization, possibly for a future rotation piece or a significant trade piece. But more importantly, Hunter Barco is someone who I think could be knocking on the door this year, towards the end of the year. He's had injury concerns. They've shut him down towards the end of last year. He didn't play in the AFL. I think they're kind of walking on eggshells with him, but it's a college arm who is gross, dude, when he is on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm excited for those guys too. I'm also, and back to the top prospects here, I'm really excited for Thomas Harrington. I'm just like I'm buying in on the Nick York stock. I'm really buying in on the Thomas Harrington stock. And I don't want to set these lofty expectations. I know this is going to sound ridiculous, so I'm going to say it. And I think I've said it before, maybe not on that while recording, but I know I have. He gives me Shane Bieber light vibes. All right. I'm not comping him to Shane Bieber. All right. But he is that prototypical Cleveland type plus command, plus stuff guy that can eat innings. I think he's going to be a slept-on prospect. I think he's a slept-on prospect across the league. So I'm really excited for him. And then now I'm going to be unserious. We're talking about the outfield market. Do we have our answer here in DJ Stewart?
No.
Okay. I had to say it.
No. And let's touch on it because, these are guys that are going to be there with the big leaguers, and the point of spring is one to ramp up, but also to provide competition, to see what you have. You simply don't have anything in the pipelines. You have Matt Gorski and DJ Stewart. Matt Gorski is a AAA guy for life at this point.
He gives me Mason Miller vibes.
Right.
Obviously a little bit more contact, but
slightly more. And don't get me wrong, there's a ton of talent there. But is it a major league bat? Probably not. And then DJ Stewart. So really your competition this spring is what we have now in Jack Sawinski, Josh Palacios, Billy Cook, Nick York, all fighting for an outfield spot and possibly adding one more. I'd like to eliminate that competition to 2 guys, or just going in knowing that we're going to have a platoon between 2 guys, but I'd be more comfortable with 2 of those guys being in Indianapolis to start the year rather than them being on a major league roster.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that. I don't see them making this major league roster unless they come out and have a Matt Haig type spring.
Wow. Maybe.
Ironic. But
Diego Castillo.
Who was the other one? Phil Evans. I remember I thought Phil Evans was going to be like the next like Luis Arias from the right side.
Who was the outfielder that did we trade him to the Padres? Oh, it was Cal Mitchell. Did we trade Cal Mitchell?
Cal Mitchell, yeah. Cal Mitchell.
I thought he was going to be a guy too.
You bought in on that stock? What an idiot.
I bought in on Cal Mitchell, dude. This game's so dumb. Like, you just never know. But not a good list when it comes to arms. An excellent list when it comes to arms. Solid infield in Jack Brannigan, Connor Griffin, Termarr Johnson, although you'll see Connor Griffin also get reps in the outfield as well. So if you look at it from that standpoint, like, you have some outfielders here, but again, nothing that's close to being on the way. Outside of that, Barucki, hopefully.
Yeah, I want to see him have a bounce back for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And then obviously people are putting the Jared Jones tag on Bubba already for spring training. Like, I would bet against him making this opening day roster, but it would be awesome to see.
If he has the same exact spring that Jared Jones had, would you then be shouting for him to be on the opening day roster?
Well, 100%. But let's also take one other thing into consideration. Bubba Chandler is a Paul Skeens level prospect. Jared Jones was a tier below that. Okay. I think they were willing to be more aggressive with Jared earlier than they were with a guy like Paul. Now, Bubba's been in the system longer. Paul literally was in the minors for all total, like a couple months,
right?
A month total.
Yeah.
I mean, he pitched a couple innings when he got drafted, but he didn't pitch much in the minors. Whereas Bubba has come all the way up. So maybe it might be a little bit different, but I think they're going to treat Bubba with a little bit more kid gloves than they did Jared Jones.
I would agree. I'm sure there's some things that they've had Bubba work on this offseason too that they want to kind of fine tune before an early season call up, because I'm hoping that it comes around the same time that Paul Skeens came up last year. That all being said, excited to get down there, man. I'm pumped to watch baseball. The Super Bowl's this week, and once that's done, football is over. It's baseball season.
It's baseball season for me right now because I don't care about the Super Bowl, but I'll watch it. So
it's hard. Side note, hard to watch football, right? Like, it's almost like over. There's been too much college football, too much pro football thrown in my face, where I've been desensitized to meaningful games.
Bad football, man. Not just, the level of football. Well, it is the level of football. It's just been bad for my teams. I mean, I root for Pitt and watch the Steelers, and it's just mediocre. They get my hopes up and then they kick me down. It's depressing. Let's not talk about that.
All of our teams are mediocre, dude. Just those?
Oh, speak for yourself. Have you seen the New York Knicks lately?
Oh, that's right. You are a Knicks fan.
Hell yeah, brother.
That's fine. All right. What else do we got here? Shortstop.
Oh, let's do around the Central before shortstop.
Yeah. What's happening around the Central, Scotty?
So let's start with the Reds. The Reds, I've loved their offseason, to be completely honest with you. It's not like they've gotten a star, but they apparently were close to getting Luis Robert from the White Sox. They've been aggressive. They traded from a position of depth, and they traded Jonathan India to the Royals and got a veteran, pretty solid. I don't know if I call him a veteran, but he's been in the league a couple of years. Brady Singer. He's a solid arm.
Had a great year last year. Yeah.
Great year. And he's an arm that, in a rotation with a bunch of young arms like him and Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo, who gets hurt a lot, but they have some guys coming up too with Rhett Lauder. I'm higher on the Reds roster than the Pirates. Hot take right there. But they also signed Joe La Sorsa. He played on Team Italy, fellow Paisan, lefty reliever. He had some good moments with the Nationals. And then Ian Gabout, I think he was brought back.
Yeah.
So just some minor moves, but Wade Miley coming in there as like this veteran guy who's coming off a TJ, like this is the type of guy you sign when you have all these young arms. You want to, watch their innings. Like, this is why I mentioned his name with the Pirates. Like, that's a move that they could have made.
That rotation has the potential to be one of the best in baseball.
Very underrated. I don't think it's
Lodolo, Hunter Green, Rhett Lauder.
I don't think it's talked about enough.
Chase Burns could potentially be there this year. You don't think so?
No. I'm not saying I don't think so. I just forgot about him.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get up and leave now. No,
it's crazy, man. Like we always talked about in the early days of this podcast, the Reds never really picking a direction to go in.
It's back and forth all the time.
Yeah, snip, snap, snip, snap. They're the Ryder Ryans of the I would say of the NL Central, but Ryder Ryan is the Ryder Ryan of the NL Central.
Sure.
They have definitively said this is where we're going to go, and I applaud them for having this active of an offseason. And it started with Francona at the helm. Once they made that move, it was the determining factor that, hey, we're going to go for it. Maybe this year is not going to be the year, but hey, we're going to compete. We're going to show that we have talent, and we're only going to build off of that. You're also forgetting too, Noelve Marte was a rookie last year, had the PED suspension, really didn't get going. That's a young prospect that could potentially be
Christian Encarnacion Strawn barely played last year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They had a lot of, man, they have so much. And then Ellie, like a superstar who has probably already played his way out of an extension in Cincinnati.
Well, but you know what? Cincinnati's willing to give out these contracts. Like, they brought in a veteran like Heimer Candelario and gave him a 3-year contract. Like, we haven't seen that with the Pirates since Francisco Liriano.
Oh God!
Like,
that name gets brought up way too much.
Have you been?
Pirates
I know. Have you been to Cincinnati?
No, this year.
To me, I don't know population wise how it compares to Pittsburgh. It's this is gonna be mean, an uglier Pittsburgh. Okay. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, we have a better ballpark, we have a better city, we have better fans. Their opening day, is a big event. They're kind of known for that, but why can the Reds do this and the Pirates can't? Like, that's the big question.
The greater population, or just Pittsburgh, the population of just Pittsburgh is just north of 300,000.
Yeah.
And it's almost exactly the same in Cincinnati.
It's the same market, man. It's the same market.
And the greater metro area is slightly larger as well. But yeah, same market, uglier ballpark.
And uglier city. Like, you're on the river, but you look at freaking Kentucky. Sorry, Jim. But like, you're looking at Kentucky.
Oh man,
like, you're looking at the beautiful city of Pittsburgh when you're in the outfield at PNC Park.
What are you looking at? That big dumb steamboat out there that they got in the outfield?
That we're turning into a pirate ship?
Right.
Oh, you mean in Cincinnati?
Oh, no, in Cincinnati, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a steamboat out in...
They do, and they have a truck up on top that a guy threatened to defecate in. So
Right. He was going to poop in the truck.
Yeah. He was like, everyone look up in the 6th inning.
I love this, just Major League Baseball and the fandom around it. And just the nonsense that happens on a day-to-day. 162 games, you're gonna poop in a truck at some point.
You'll eat a renegade dog or poop in a truck. I don't know. It's
something in
stuff
between.
You'll do for your team is just, it's sad.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've established Cincinnati is ugly. The Cubs signed right-handed pitcher AJ Puckett to a minor league deal. I believe there's an invite to spring training as well. As you mentioned, Reds signed Austin Hayes, and then former Pirate, not in the Central, but former Pittsburgh Pirate left-handed pitcher Jose Hernandez invite to Dodger spring training. So he'll win a World Series this year. Anything else, Scott?
No, I don't want to talk about the Central anymore. Let's move on.
Okay. You don't have any more words about Cincinnati?
No, it's ugly. Like, have you ever heard anyone say, let's go to Cincinnati for a quick weekend? Not me.
I actually said that like a month ago, but
yeah, well,
but it was
psychotic.
It was in the context of let's go to a Pirate game.
Okay, well, that's fair. But it's like the Joakim Noah quote when they were playing the Cavs in the playoffs. He goes, "Have you ever heard anyone say that they want a vacation in Cleveland?"
No, of course not.
So
absolutely not. All right, That all being said, that was around the Central. A lot of moves being made outside of the Pittsburgh Pirates. But let's talk about our Buccos, Scotty, and the dire need for a real shortstop here. Okay.
Ooh.
Our shortstop last year, in his first full year, did not complete a full season in O'Neal Cruz at that position, got moved to center field. I'm actually on board with that now. I really wasn't at the time because I didn't think there was a big enough sample size, but I think it's going to work out in his favor. That being said, the replacement was Isaiah Kiner-Falefa.
Yep.
IKF, where we've had a greater sample size of him at shortstop where it just hasn't worked. At Pirates Fest, this question was asked if they've explored the shortstop market and if they plan on going with IKF throughout the full season. The answer was their internal data and analytics see him as a plus shortstop. I don't know what that means. Okay. I don't know what they have out like other than the other 29 teams in the league. Not sure about that. Okay.
Yeah.
But real quick, before I let you jump in, I'll just go through the shortstop.
Sure about
room.
that?
Sure about that? The shortstop room, technically speaking, guys that can play the position are IKF, Nick Gonzalez, Jared Triolo, Liover Peguero. Obviously, O'Neal Cruz could play there, but he's not going to be like a guy that comes after IKF. And we're bringing this up this week because they DFA'd Alika Williams.
Yeah.
Who obviously is not an everyday major league player, but arguably the best glove that they had at shortstop, like the most pure defensive shortstop that they had. It's not even close. So it bears the question, Scott, who's on short?
Adam, thank you for asking. That's a great question. It's actually $1 million question, but I have a chart. I'm going to pull it over to my laptop screen so I'm not looking.
Oh, you got a chart?
Monitor. Yeah. So it's the Fangraphs rankings they do like positional depth charts and they rank them by teams. All right.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the shortstop rankings right now. The Royals are ranked first because they have this guy named Bobby Witt Jr. Ever heard of him? They're projected to have produced a 7 WAR at the position this year between him and Michael Garcia. Can you guess where the Pirates are ranked, Adam?
Ooh, I like this game. Okay. Oh man. 28.
You're right.
Really?
You're looking
I
at it.
swear to God, I'm not looking at it. I swear on my life. Is that right?
Yeah, it is right.
Oh, okay. Great.
The only teams that are projected lower are the Braves and the White Sox. And the Braves, like Orlando Arcia, is projected a higher WAR than IKF, but behind him, they don't really have anybody. So the White Sox have rookie Colson Montgomery. No one's really projected to even reach 1 WAR in that line. It's the White Sox. Come on. We don't even have to talk about them. But on this depth chart, we've got IKF listed. We have Nick Gonzalez listed. We have Jared Triolo and Liover Peguero. So the way they quantify, and we, the Pirates said this at Pirates Fest, like defensive stats are wonky. I get it. There's all these different metrics and there isn't like one like universal metric used, right? Everyone values defense a little bit differently. But I think we can look at couple things: range, hands. We can look at, range, hands, and an arm. An arm.
Right.
Those are like tools that are conducive to being a good shortstop. IKF is listed on their metric. I think they project WAR based on offense, base running, and fielding.
Right.
He's projected to have a 1.2 WAR this year. Okay. Not horrible. They're projecting him to bat 263, 309, 354. They're projecting him to have a negative 1.5 WAR in the field. I don't know if it's WAR, but their fielding value is negative 1.5. Nick Gonzalez is actually projected 0.4 positive, but he's the highest. And Nick Gonzalez is a guy that I don't think you want to rely on playing shortstop for a long period. I think his skill set fits better at second base. I think his arm fits better there. That's
only a slightly better arm than IKF.
Only slightly better, but I think, stature-wise and everything, he fits better at second base. Honestly, the person I trust the most at shortstop is Jared Triolo. Is that crazy? I know I'm high on Jared Triolo,
No.
but I think being a Gold Glove utility guy, I think he is someone if I'm bringing in a defensive replacement at the end of the game to shore up the middle infield, I'm bringing in Triolo.
Yeah, I mean, that's the value that Alika Williams had towards the end of games,
Exactly.
right? You take an O'Neal Cruz out and you throw in Alika Williams because you don't care about the bat. With this year, I would want to care about the bat at the shortstop position, but the concern is now we just don't have one. We don't have a real shortstop. And the same thing goes for right field. When we talk about guys coming up through the pipeline, it doesn't look much better.
Yeah.
Unless Peggy figures it out. And we know that there's some pop in that bat, but he kind of just hits the ball right into the ground, right? There's a hitch in that load where it's not very smooth or conducive to lifting the ball in the air. So, yeah, Triolo is the guy that I would like to see there if we had, oh man, like I don't want to say I want him to be an everyday guy at that position because I think he's better suited at a corner.
Yeah.
But IKF is not like we know this, right? We knew this when he got traded to us. He's best suited for a team that's competing where he can come in and fill in that Jared Triolo role where he can play multiple areas in a pinch.
Do we know if Nick York has played much shortstop? Because he was drafted as a shortstop. Now, we keep hearing stories about his arm getting better the further away he gets from shoulder surgery. But I don't know, how he's graded defensively, like range-wise, hands and stuff like that. That's another question. But I know he was drafted as a shortstop. He's not listed in the depth chart here as a shortstop. I think he's more second in corner outfield, but just a thought.
Did he play any shortstop in the Red Sox organization?
I believe so, yeah.
I actually don't know. So, but again, now we're reaching.
Yeah,
so you're just adding another name to the list that is similar to Gonzalez, Triolo, Peggy.
And who hasn't played much at the position. It's just like, why are we just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks? We need a shortstop's one of the most, if not the most important position on the field. Like up the middle guys, you want to be solid up the middle. You want a solid center fielder. You want a solid shortstop.
It's the most defense. I argue catcher probably is pretty important as well. But if we're talking just fielders, I think shortstop's the most important defensive position.
Yeah.
You need a guy with hands, man. And we have a bunch of second basemen.
Me too.
We have a bunch of second basemen. This list doesn't even include Adam Frazier.
How about Emmanuel Valdez?
Bro, shut up. Shut up. Like, it's so frustrating. I was more confident with O'Neal Cruz because at least I know that there's a higher ceiling.
Yeah, especially with the bat.
And he made a lot of errors. But so what? You got to see him show off that arm. And it was so funny the week of the transition where O'Neal went to center field and IKF took over, and then seeing IKF throw a ball from the hole, and it looked like it was going in slow motion compared to Cruz. It doesn't compare. So maybe we were a little spoiled with the arm strength in that department, but I don't know what they do because I don't think they're going to make. We talk about trades; they're not going to make a trade for a shortstop.
No,
they already showed that,
and they were probably too risk averse when talking about Ha-Seong Kim because of the shoulder surgery and him probably not being able to really play the field until like May or June. But the Rays in their spring training ballpark threw 2 years on him.
How crazy is that? I don't think we've actually brought that up on this podcast yet because we had interviews when that happened. So we didn't have episodes breaking down free agency. Ha-Seong Kim went to a place that doesn't have a stadium.
Yeah.
And I think maybe he has an opt-out after 1 year. So it's kind of a prove it year for him. He'll probably play the year, see how he does, and then opt for free agency again. But I'm so sick of just watching guys sign for these deals that are so in the ballpark of what the Pirates can pay and showed in the past that they've paid on 1 year deals, but actually have talent.
Yeah.
Right. They're not just projects that guys that had a good 2023 and then a bad 2024. These are guys that had good years the last year.
Yeah. And the Rays are a team that have been rumored to, and especially with the whole stadium fiasco, have wanted to cut payroll. They're in this transition period where they're also flipping a lot of their roster and they're getting younger again. They go through these like cycles, but they gave a 2-year, $29 million contract. I know it has an opt out, but still. And the Pirates are saying you have to be too comfortable saying no. You can't be too comfortable saying no. They're saying, yeah,
you got it.
I got it. Whatever. I don't even care anymore, man. It's like,
yeah, my problem is I care, and I know you care.
I do.
Care.
This is
at the same time, it's the bit that we just have to keep going. You know who I'm high on this year? Speaking of the Rays, you know who I'm about to say, Junior Caminero.
Oh, he's gonna be a stud.
I think he could have an MVP type year.
Oh, he's gonna be a stud. Was he the one who threw the bat up to Mars?
Yes.
That was incredible. Did you see the picture of like where the bat was? Like, I need to go to a Lightem game. Like I that's on my bucket list.
Have you been to the DR?
Never been I've been to Puerto Rico, never been to the DR. That atmosphere, like I need that.
It looks electric, man.
Do we do mini mic content down there next year?
Do you speak Spanish?
Hola.
¿Cómo estás?
¿Cómo estás? Muy bien, ¿y tú?
Así, así.
Más o menos.
Say more or less.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's I did Duolingo for 3 weeks and then I got sick of it, dude. I just and it kept reminding me to keep doing my streak, and
I'm at 654 days for my Italian.
You know nothing.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, right.
Arrivederci.
Okay, well, maybe I was proven wrong. Yeah, that was pretty good. That's pretty good. All right, Scott, I think that's enough for today.
Yeah, we're getting there. Go onto the Bucko Banner store. I'm going to give a little spiel real quick. I know you usually do this and you can add on to it, but go on the Bucko Banner store. Valentine's Day is coming up.
Oh, you're right.
Roses are so overrated, man.
They die.
They die. Do you know what doesn't die? Bucko Banner gear.
You're right. You are right. It doesn't die. T-shirts could last you forever.
They really can.
Sweatshirts could last you forever. They're vintage at some point. Yeah. Hats.
Hoodies.
Yeah. We got blankets on there.
Yeah.
You want to cuddle up with your significant other in a jalapeno Hannah blanket?
Talk about getting the mood started.
It'll get me going.
Oh my. This is definitely where we need to end.
Yeah, for sure. If you don't already, go subscribe to the YouTube channel at Bucko Banter. Hit subscribe, hit like, leave a comment, share it with a friend, and then go follow us on all social media at Bucko Banter. Maybe we'll do a mailbag, Scotty, coming up here pretty soon.
I think we're due for one, right?
We're definitely due. So if you have any questions, I know we've been compiling a couple that have been in the YouTube comments, but if you have any questions, concerns, you want to yell at us, I don't care what it is, let us know. You could send an email to buckobanter@gmail.com or just leave a comment in the YouTube section and maybe we'll respond. Maybe we won't. It just depends on how we're feeling that day. And as Scott mentioned, Valentine's Day is coming up. So I agree with you, man. Claire, I think she asked for roses and like maybe some perfume and all this stuff. And I said, you know what, babe? No.
Bucko Banter gear, baby.
You're getting more Bucko Banter gear.
Yeah.
So I got that on the way. I'm taken care of. I got it weeks in advance. Also, make a dinner reservation now if you're planning on it for Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Are you a go out to dinner type of guy on Valentine's Day?
Yeah. Usually a mix of going out to dinner, doing something fun activity. I don't know.
I've started to lean more into the get good food and cook it at home.
Yeah, I did that one year. I made cacio e pepe.
One year I went to Melting Pot. Oh, the cacio, that's very good. It's very, it's on. Yeah, it's par for the course. 1 year I went to the Melting Pot. I think this is the last time I went out for Valentine's Day dinner. Maybe not. I don't know. Everything blends together at some point. But this was my the point where I was like, enough is enough. I went to the Melting Pot for Valentine's Day dinner.
Square?
It is.
Okay.
Fuck that place, dude. That place sucks. I don't care. You could yell at a brick wall if you like the Melting Pot. I am not going somewhere where they just put raw meat on your plate and they're like, all right, here you go, idiot, cook it. So dumb. The fondue, like the chocolate stuff, great, awesome. I'm not going to cook my dinner and then pay like $80 for it.
That's your job. That's why I'm here.
Right. Why would I go out to dinner? Stupid. It's dumb. All right. Thank you all for listening. And until next time, raise it.
Raise it.
Rockin' 101, shit, she compliment my taste. Whiskey in my lemonade, cause I like the way it tastes. Best seats at the Pirates game, they let me run the base. Yeah, my time is like my money, cause I can't afford to waste. Wifey is a lawyer, take my date to my dates, or the steak by the plates. And